Hi there, guys. Very good afternoon, good morning to everyone, and welcome to today's Friday's market wrap-up by Bretton Financial Trading, BFTA. And my name is Kenny Simon. As usual, we have got this Friday's market wrap-up just to give you a little bit of an idea of what has actually gone on. We'll go through some of the trade ideas that we have actually shared from Bretton Financial Trading Academy, as well as from myself, and basically to go through any doubts or any concerns you may have with your current positions, especially your trading positions, and also perhaps some of the trades or currencies that you would wish for me to actually take a look at, including gold or any other instruments as well. So let's get going. But before that, just to highlight a couple of things with regards to the economic calendar first. I mean, with regards to risk events as of today, we're looking at some heavy sort of events, in the Eurozone. And a lot of traders and investors are questioning on whether or not this whole trend continuation on the downside will actually persist, or to actually look at whether or not there's some level of support that is lurking for Euro USD especially. So we want to always take a look at Euro USD first, and then we look at all the other pairs, just because it is the most traded pair as well. And especially so because today we have got some Eurozone news or data releases, and I think that could actually be a catalyst to more movements in the Eurozone for the euro itself. So as you can see here, you've got high impact data for euro, and ranging from the Euro CPI or Consumer Price Index right down to gross GDP figures and unemployment rates and various other things that are correlated somehow or another, that would actually impact the economy and the whole sentiments of the Eurozone. So we've got all these high impact news right here. We've also got the Swiss National Bank's chairman speech right there, and also something that would concern Germany. So it's the German's GDP, which would then impact Eurozone as a whole, because it is the most I would say the highest impact from an economic stand comes from Germany. So you've got your three major countries in the Eurozone. You've got Germany, Italy, and France. So when you've got news that is classified, I would say categorized, as high impact from either one of these countries, it would then be impacting the Eurozone as a whole. Okay, so I see that we probably have got some movement volatility expected, driven by these events. So we want to look at Euro USD first, because we've got lots of questions on Euro USD's stand. But before that, let's take a look at the heat map first, and I'll share with you the heat map that I can actually see here by Forex early warning. Now, for the Forex early warning heat map, as we can see from the drivers from the Asian session right to the European session, coming into the European session this morning here, I can actually see that we've got a bit of unevenness when it comes to USD. It's not very uniform, meaning that if I see lots of red bars that are actually really big here in Asian session, showing you the liquidity impact or the interest by traders and investors to be quite high on the Asian session, and then it follows through the European session, then I would see that that could actually be something that would motivate me to actually look through all these pairs, all the US crosses. But at this stage, I'm not ready to do that as yet, because I want to give it more time for London Open and perhaps a little bit later, and to look at how the impact would actually be. But generally, we're looking at USD picking up as of this morning, and you are looking at all the other pairs seem to be on a bearish stand. But I want to look at market participation. I'm going to look at all these long bars and uniformity and clarity of trend first. So as what I can actually see, we've got the CHF pairs seem to be picking up in its momentum, its interest as well. And we can actually look at GBP CHF, AUD CHF, NZD CHF. All these pairs seem to be picking up on the downside. So that actually is giving us some hint that CHF could potentially be on the upside, since the participation and interest of investors and traders are actually buying the CHF as opposed to the other currencies. So they're selling off all the other ones, as you can see, and we've got some reasonable participation with all these bars that are reasonably long bars, and this is giving us a little bit of interest, or motivating us to actually look it through the charts as well. So we want to take a look at some of the CHF pairs, especially because they've got the speech upcoming in the economic calendar that we have actually seen, and it's categorized as high impact as well. So we want to take a look at that. But we want to do a separate trend analysis. We don't want to be just based on the news at the moment and then look at whether it's bearish or bullish. We don't want to go into the bearish and bullishness side of it until we do a better trend analysis based on the charts as well. And then we can actually figure out a little bit better, because we are expecting volatility on CHF pairs due to the speech as well, and not only the speech by the chairman there in Switzerland, but also because it ties in with what is going to be released for the Eurozone. So that is all going to be this side of the world where it could actually be impacting quite a number of currency pairs, but especially revolving European currencies, the Euro, of course, the CHF, GBP as well, and also USD. So I see that we are probably expecting some movements in these currencies, but we'll take a look at the action Forex heat map as well as the top 10 movers, and then we'll take it from there and go into the chart. So CHF is one to look at. Also, we see that the JPY or yen pairs seem to be winding down in terms of its participation from the Asian session, because today is Friday as well. But then there was quite heavy sort of buying of the Japanese yen because it's a sell-off with all the other currencies right there. And we have seen in the Asian session especially loads of buying of the yen, but then it's sort of not died down completely, but it's sort of cut in half in terms of its participation. But we want to take a look at London Open later on, whether or not we'll see a comeback of that, or whether or not investors and traders are just taking it slow for the yen crosses as of today. So maybe the European crosses, GBP crosses, USD crosses, CHF crosses, antipodians like the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. Perhaps we want to be a little bit more sure when we go onto the charts as well, because I do see quite heavy sort of buying against the CHF, because you see, selling against the CHF. So CHF is on the upside, but then when I look at AUD and NZD especially, there's some very heavy selling going on. So yes, we want to take a look at AUD as well and NZD, but as I see it here, I think we have got more participation of AUD compared to the NZD, but right now it looks like it's quite balanced out in terms of its participation, because a couple of hours ago or late last night, we didn't really see that participation coming into the Asian session by the Australian AUD and NZD traders. But then I can see it now that that participation may actually take place a lot more. So we want to take a look at AUD pairs as well. So Euro pairs for sure, CHF pairs, AUD pairs, and NZD pairs, and not JPY pairs as we can actually see it. Gbp GBP pairs perhaps, but then we're looking at a bit of unevenness there. But we can still take a look at those ones. But I think the priority is to look at the European pairs, CHF pairs, AUD and ZD, and also, of course, the USD. So once we've actually taken a look at USD, look at its trend as well from a charts perspective, then we can also look at both gold and oil as well. So there's some updates on oil as well, because it's been going really well with the buying, and it has actually been going really well with the pattern as well, with a geometric bullish ABCD pattern. Okay, guys, so let's take a look at the action forex heat map, just to give it a bit of a bird's eye view in terms of what are we going to be expecting in terms of trend in general. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Give me a second. Just go on to the top movers first, just to look at what are the top 10 movers for today. And we can actually see straight off the bat, if we are looking at the daily chart, especially based on daily chart. When I look at this daily chart, I'm seeing it from the 4-hour angle, from the 4-hour to the daily. So it's still sort of like a midday outlook, I would think. I see that there's a lot of participation on AUD especially. You can see that perhaps the top 7 from number 1 to number 7 has been participated by Australian dollar traders. So you can see that there's a lot of buying so far for the Australian dollar. Now, if we compare that with the heat map that we've seen earlier on here, that does actually match with what's going on the Asian session. But as it comes into the European session, as of earlier this morning, the shift has actually started in terms of its trend preference from buying in the Asian session. They're actually selling the Australian dollar in the European session. So we want to look at that shift, whether or not it is a change of trend, a correction. So we need to go onto the charts and to make sure what's going on, and whether or not there are some opportunities for us to actually trade the Australian dollar as well. So we'll look into that. Let's just go back to the action forex right there. We see that the participation of GBP AUD, Euro AUD, and AUD USD seem to be the ones that are the top 3 when it comes to Australian dollar crosses. So that one there makes sense in terms of the Euro AUD as well as AUD USD. Euro AUD especially because we are expecting some heavy risk events in the Eurozone and also CHF. So that all, comes from the same sort of continent. So we want to really focus on Euro pairs and look at whether or not Euro pairs, especially Euro USD, some USD crosses as well, of course, but Euro pairs that may actually be quite interesting to trade as of today. So you've got your Euro USD, of course, you've got your Euro AUD right here to look at as well. But the most important thing is to look at whether there's market participation, and then we will confirm with the charts as well to look at trend analysis using the chart, and then look at levels as well, looking at the levels, and then to structure it using price patterns or even support resistance if there are no price patterns, or price action if there are no patterns. So we can actually do that with Euro especially, and I'm particularly interested in Euro because of quite a number of risk events, not only risk events in the economic calendar, but we've got a lot of news revolving all the major economic powers like Germany, Italy, and also France. So these ones are actually sort of giving out a bit of a rippling effect, and it might actually give us more opportunity next week. So I want to also point out what we could actually expect next week, because whatever that is happening today might actually carry forward or sort of pause today to carry forward for next week. So I just want to take a look at that. Give me a second, especially on the economic calendar right here. Let's see. Okay, so give me a second. Right now, that would actually be already May 3rd and 7. Give me a second. Give me a second, guys. All right. So as you guys can see, we still have some euro sentiments there, but it will start off with Germany's retail sales on Monday. So that does actually make sense that the euro might actually be experiencing more volatility starting off from today, and then may actually carry forward from next week. So Euro USD may actually be still a good pair to look at as well, because we're expecting the USD manufacturing index next week. So yeah, that is what we're expecting. And then when we go on to next week, we'll cover that on Monday as well, on Monday outlook more in detail of what is to trade for next week. But then we want to wrap up this week and look at what is to hold, what are the pairs we can actually trade for today, but then what could actually carry on for next week. So the way I look at it is Euro USD could potentially carry on for next week. We see a lot of antipodian pairs, antipodian currencies. Antipodian means the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. Especially these are antipodian currencies, and we see some heaviness in the US data, but not too much volatility in Europe from middle of the week next week, but then very heavy by ending of next week on the GBP. So we'll talk about that on Monday a little bit more in detail of the plan of the week in terms of what to trade and how you're going to be trading next week. But then as of today, let's take a look at the action Forex again, and just to look at some of the pairs that I would like to eye on, and then we go on to the charts. So let's go on to the currency heat map right here. Okay. From the currency heat map, we can see that the one that actually has got this whole straight column with one color, especially a dark red or a dark blue, is this one here on GBP. So GBP looks or appear to be strongly bearish against CAD, as you can see here, across all the time frames, all the 4 time frames from the 4-hour right up to the monthly chart. So we've got that one straight sort of pair right there, sorry, and you can also go on to the action bias tool right here, and just to look at whether we could find any straight rows of either up arrows or down arrows, and we don't see that here on the action bias so much. So it's okay. We can then go on to this one here. So in order for us to wrap up what we've actually talked about as well, let's also go through some of the pairs that we've been sharing in terms of trade ideas. We've got one that caught my eye in terms of entering it a little bit early, but it has actually been doing quite well. Let me just park this one here. Especially the CHF Jpy. So let me just show you guys. This has actually been quite a good trade so far. It has hit 2 TP, so we've got 4 arrow ups right there. So it was based on a bullish ABCD pattern, as you guys can actually see here. And it's been doing well, hitting 30 pips. Each one area has got about 30 pips, planned at 30 pips, but then initially when I've drawn the pattern or spotted the pattern, it really didn't go as planned at the very beginning, but then it came back and it reversed and basically got pushed upwards and crossed the 11910 area, which was our entry first take profit at 11940, and then second entry was at 11960, and we took profit at 11990. So you got 30 pips, 30 pips, that's 60 pips there. We're expecting it to trigger our third entry, which is at 120.10, and then take profit at 120.40. That's another 30 pips there potentially. I see that potentially it could actually be reversing first and then making that move. It depends on what goes on next week, whether or not we are looking at further downside by the Japanese yen and Japan as a whole. When we look at what would actually be going on from next week onwards, that could actually be pulling down JPY to actually push up CHF JPY for us here to hit our third take profit and also our fourth take profit. So the pattern was quite nice. Initially, when I've drawn this is the original pattern, so I have not changed that. But now the C point has actually gone a little bit lower. So initially, the C point was at 38.2, then it went down a little bit lower than 38.2 Fibonacci ratio. So it was good because it sort of got lifted and pushed up, found support at these lines, the EMA lines, which is a good sign. And then when it crossed over from the 118.80 area, then it gave me more confidence that would actually be going up to the 119.10. So for those of you guys who have actually reading it on CHF JPY and took profit on all these two here. Some of you guys I know have actually entered early as well, which is great. So for me, I like to layer the trades according to price action as well as the pattern. The price pattern that you can see here is called the geometric pattern right there. So those who've actually entered early have actually entered as early as the trigger of the centroid area right here, so around about the 118.30 or 118.10 area. So that from that area itself, let's say, right to the price now, it's already about 130 plus pips gain. Okay, so gained. So that's a good one for CHF JPY. Want to take a look at I'm actually riding on the CAD JPY at the moment, just to test out a couple of resistant areas right there as well. But then I went onto a buy just for about 20 plus or almost 30 pips right there. I'm still floating on that one there. It hasn't actually really hit my take profit, I think, there. So yeah, it's still on floating on CAD JPY, but I see that it could potentially hit the 88.90 area. So it's got this bullish candle right there. So I think versus the JPY, it looks like the JPY crosses has been good to trade as well with what's going on in Japan. Has actually given a lot of flow of cash going into Japan because of the lockdown of 3 cities, major cities in Japan. Their lockdown is quite heavy. The emergency state has been confirmed as of a week and a half ago. So then they're still going through that. And that might actually be, I mean, initially when it comes to a crisis in Japan, of course, you've got that money flow in and then your Japanese yen would actually go up. But then after that, it would then reverse. So then it would actually be communicating more yen selling as well after the initial round of buying. So now we're still looking at potentially CAD quite strong against a JPY. We're looking at more bullishness. We're seeing to the left lots of mother candles, bullish mother candles of the past as well, that would actually motivate traders and investors as of now to actually buy. So yeah, this is Doing good so far on CAD JPY, also CHF JPY, as I've mentioned. We also want to look at GBP JPY because we've released some signals on GBP JPY or GBP crosses as of this week, earlier this week as well. So GBP JPY, if we go back to the heat map right here, we've noticed that it's just not too confident in terms of too clear in terms of the trend. Earlier this morning, maybe in the wee hours of the morning, my time, it didn't actually give us a lot of clarity. I mean, the participation was low, but then the good news is that it became really clear as of this morning, my time, about 7 o'clock or so Cyprus time, and then it started to give clarity onto the downside for GBP pair. So GBP is now giving us clarity of more potential downwardness, but we want to confirm that right here. So here, for example, I have to apply the 3 lines. Give me a second. All right, now I've got my 3 EMA lines right there. And you can see that on the daily chart, it's quite clear. You've got this nice run to the upside. So that's a bit on the long term kind of side in terms of trend. On the weekly chart, a little bit, it might actually wind down a little bit, mainly because we've got this entanglement of the lines, the 3 EMA lines. But let's start off and look at 30 minutes chart. Now, when we look at a 30 minutes chart, we could see that it's entering into a potential consolidation or, uncertain in a way, because it's entering and trading in between the lines now. We also see to the right in terms of price, it's trading at 151.60. Now, I would think that if you've got more participation of sellers, then it should actually pull the price down towards 151.50 psychological level. So I'll mark that psychological level right there, 151.50. It's quite closed already. It's only 3 pips away. And you've got 151.50 right there. And if prices does actually continue, we want to look at the other time frames as well, with bearish candles moving downwards and going under 151.50, then you have got better confirmation, better clarity of a downward movement and more bias to the downside for the GBP JPY. We're looking at GBP JPY at the moment, and this is just a 30 minutes chart. So as we move along to the H1, we can see that it has actually surpassed, gone under that very obvious significant resistance zone, resistant area, resistance zone, if you take into account that wick right there as well. So that was at the 151.80s psychological level as well. So it has actually gone down now. That would then give us more bias to the downside, of course. So now the second stage of it is for it to actually come under the 151.50 as well. As it comes under the 151.50, on the 1 hour chart, it would actually go under the 50 EMA as well. So as we go on to higher time frame, we need to also look to the left, so we can actually get more clues as to whether or not previously or previous price action would hint us of a preference in that area to actually sell. Now, in my opinion, from what I can actually see, from the price approaching 151.50 to the left, we've got this resistance zone right here. So as it goes lower, it would actually then respect that as a resistance level and being pushed down even lower. And then I think it would actually be motivated to go even lower because of these mother candles right here to the left. And they're quite significant mother candles on the 4 hour chart. That that mother candle there from the opening price to the closing price itself is worth about 70 over pips. Then you've got another one right there. So what I would then see is that if at all I'm looking at selling, I would be looking at selling under the 15150, at least 10 pips under. So 15140 could be my trigger price for a sell entry for GBP Jpy. So 15140 right there. So that could be my entry price. I'll mark that in green. Entry price right there. So I've got 15140 GBP Jpy as a potential selling price. Okay, so that's basically it, because it's hinted in the heat map as well. Loads of participation on GBP selling, including the GBP Jpy, of course. And I see that we might need to actually go past this 15150 first, just in case it becomes a support area as well as a psychological level, because at this area it may seem a little bit tricky as well at the 15140, because you've got this participation of bulls in this area, but you've also got loads of bearish candles right there that would actually pull it down. So it looks like bearish territory gets stronger the lower it gets for the GBP Jpy. So you can actually look into selling entry price 15140. Then you look at these candle here perhaps, or this candle here, bearish candle, bearish mother candle. So you've got an area that you can actually consider take profiting based on the closing price of the mother candle right there, for example. Okay. You've also got one that is potentially here in the middle here. This one here, perhaps an area to watch out for as well at the 15130 area. So if you are if you're selling there 15130, that's only about, sorry, that's only about 10 pips right there. So let me just release that. 15140, if you're looking at a little bit sooner here, perhaps look into this area instead, respecting that mother candle right there, because you've got mother candles there. So 15110, so 15110 could be your take profit right there. So you are looking into a 30 pips potential 15110. Okay, this could be sort of an intraday type trade as well, but the moment it starts falling, might fall fast. So that could actually be a good potential, especially when you have all these mother candles line up as well. If we go onto the daily chart, for example, and focusing onto this area itself, then you can actually see that you definitely have got all these mother candles going through this zone right here, giving you that potential push. And then if you notice, you've got mother candle going up and then mother candle going down, and then this one's an up move, down move, zigzag, and then an upward move right there, come upward and down as well on this movement here. And then after the down and up, so now what's due is another downward type move. So there is a potential for you to for traders to actually look into selling at 15140 and then take profit at 15110 for GBP Jpy. So that's the wrap up for what we have actually also considered in trading the GBP Jpy as of this week, because there were trade ideas on GBP Jpy. Lots of traders have actually ridden the trend as well. So GBP USD, it's a pair that has actually been quite good to us. It hit some TPs as well from last week and this week as well. But from looking at the heat map and various other things, what has been hinted is still a downward type movement bias for GBP USD, downtrend as well. So here, for example, if I go into the daily chart itself, you could see that you are lined up with similar type level resistance as well, and then you've got the hint of a pin bar type candlestick pattern right here. So that does actually give me the hints that it wants to weaken onto the upside, and it looks like it's exhausting to the upside. You've got all these smaller candles as well, and now it's trading at 3941, so it hasn't gone under the 50 psychological number, hinting us more potential to the downside as well. But I think for GBP USD, it might need to go lower before it gives you more hint that it wants to go even lower, because to the left I see short candles, not too long, bearish candle of the past, bearish mother candles of the past, but I see that it gets longer, lower. So that would then make me think that the price of entry for the sell would actually be 3920 and below. So 3910 would probably be a better entry price for a sell. So we need to monitor first, and once it goes lower, because now it's at 3940, it might be very tricky to actually trade as of now for the sell. But then if you wait a little bit for the London Open and for more participants of the sellers, then the sellers will solidify that position for selling. Then I think the 3910 area would probably be better for a sell. Then you can actually look at all these bearish candles right here to actually participate inside the bearish mother candles for the GBP USD. So let me just clear out all these lines that I have on my chart. Okay, so if I were to mark the sell entry price at 3910, let's just take a look. Then I could see that you've got mother candles right there. You've got one there as well. You've got some shorter ones. So you could actually sort of predict the TP to be as far down as here, but anything lesser than that would probably be around here because of that participation of bullish mother candle right there, which took it through quite high. So then we see 3910 and 3860. So 3860 could be your take profit area. Okay, so 38. Go. So there. So that's your sell entry potential for GBP USD, selling at 1.3910, taking profit at 3860. So not at 3850, but 3860, which basically is 10 pips above the psychological level of 3850. So just to avoid any reversal earlier than that or later than that. So if we were to take a look at that potential itself, you can see that's close to about close to 50 pips. Yeah, if you minus, take away spreads and stuff like that. So we're looking at 40 plus pips potential right there for GBP USD. All right, so these are for the GBP pairs, and perhaps we need to now take a look at Euro USD and Euro pairs, a couple of Euro pairs. Okay, so Euro USD, let's take a look at Euro USD. Now, at a glance, if I were to look at the daily chart, or based on the daily chart, we could see that upward type movement. It's supported by lots of support level that's been above all the four lines that I have here. I've got the 50, 100, 200 EMAs, as well as the 8 EMA in red. So it looks like has been appreciating. But then if I just look slightly to the left, we have got on the daily chart an area of concern in terms of a potential reversal right there. And that is marked from that area there, which is quite a significant resistant area, very, very obvious as well. To the left, it's got a nice pin bar candle hinting exhaustion. So we want to use that area as a point of reference. We've got a nice bearish mother candle right there. So I want to also mark this area based on just the body of that mother candle. That's where the power of selling has taken place in the past. And if you want to be curious on when roughly that happened, February this year. So it's just February this year, so it's not far back at all. So that is considered quite recent. That might actually be, passing on some hints of what could potentially happen here. So as far as I can see, if we were to look to the left, in terms of bullish candle that has actually gone above 2072 area right here, which is the closing price of that mother candle. I just want to use that mother candle area as a zone to just see whether or not we can actually gather any hints of Euro USD. So based on the daily chart, if I were to go on the weekly chart, just upon curiosity, you could see that this area that we've marked, just based on that mother candle itself, February's mother candle, you can see that it has, you've got some good players in the market have actually taken price through that zone, come back down and then up and then come back down again, and now it's actually moving upwards towards that 2175 area, which I see it's really close to the 2180 psychological level. So imagine this, you've got two levels here. One is close to the 1.2180 psychological level, and the one at the bottom is close to the 1.2080 psychological level as well. So this is quite a significant zone, and I think if we were to look at it further, we can see why. Look at how huge movements have actually found support as well at this zone. And then you can see that now it's actually going back to that zone again. So previous support could become resistance, vice versa. But then it's the zone that we need to actually focus on right now. So if I were to go on to the 4-hour chart, and I lower this a little bit, we could see a potential ABCD type pattern moving upwards as well. So if I were to take this area here, let's say this low, and I just want to measure the C point. C point is at 50% on this one here, if we regard this as a C point. So that's A to B right there. And it's probably best for me to change the color to yellow, just so that it's more obvious. And you take that, and so this is the same level, so you can just simply do that. Okay. And you can see that it's pointed the D point to exactly that area that we want to that we have actually marked based on that bearish candle. So I think there's a lot of trading to still go on taking place within this range of 2072, 2175. So I would think it's just shy away from 100 pips, if I'm not mistaken, on that one there. So yeah, it's about 100 pips space for a trade. So in terms of trend, if we're looking at it, it looks to me like it still has got the power to go upwards, and perhaps now it's correcting itself. But then, if we are looking at the 1-hour chart, it's trading at 2111. If it were to come down, it would be hitting the 2100 psychological level, and now it is just hitting the 50 EMA, which coincidentally it's at the previous resistant area as well. So could this previous resistant area become support potentially, especially it is at the 50 EMA as well. So if it decides to come down a little bit lower, it would probably be hitting this area here. If the market is thinking of buying it cheaper, it might come downwards, I would think, at this area here and then shoot up. But then it could also happen anytime now as well. So it all depends on how much it's going to react on the 50 EMA right here, as well as that previous resistance. But on a big picture perspective, we're looking at Euro USD at this moment of time, hinting to the upside. Still got power, I think, on the upside. And let's see. And we can see that it found support here, even on the weekly chart. But we want to look at how it would actually be reacting on the previous resistance right here. We've got some previous resistance, but we've got some space to the upside as well. In terms of trend as of today, if we were to look at the heat map itself for Euro pairs, we could see that it's all on the downside as of today. Mainly some heavy selling has taken place, especially for Euro JPY pairs in general. But Euro JPY has sort of struggled to the upside quite a lot. But this is still seen to me like a potential sort of a reversal at this stage, as opposed to a total change of trend. Because it's still moving the upside. It's making a very nice zigzag, and you've got a nice way of trading Euro USD using patterns, especially because it's got this stair-like formation, and it's actually similar to the ABCD geometric ABCD pattern. So at this moment of time, it's geometric, it's bullish geometric ABCD pattern to the upside. So I still see that space, and to measure that zone based on that mother candle that I've shown you guys, I think that is where we can actually expect a lot of trading to actually happen between this zone right here for Euro USD. Okay, so as of now, I think it would be looking at support area, and then looking at more space to go upwards. But what's important though is to look at above the 2110 area or 2130 as potential buying zone. You need to look to the left as traders to look at whether or not you have bullish mother candles there. You've got some, but not that confident. So I still want to be very wary in buying Euro USD. I think for now we can actually ride along downward type movement. But once it actually goes lower than 20s under this area, then you've got major pull of prices to the downside. But so as long as it's not gone under 2072 or above 2175, I think we'll be trading in a range, so you can actually take trades on a shorter term for Euro USD in within that range. So right now, I think as it comes lower to 2100 area, you want to look at whether or not it crosses under 2100. If it does for the shortest term right now, then you can see more bearish pressure coming downwards, because you've got a lot of bearishness at this area from 2100 to 2080 area. So you can trade on the downside there. So we need to also be very careful, because we've got a string of economic data, and it depends on how that economic data and news and everything in the mainstream media as well will actually take that news further, or take that results of the economic data further to either pull it downwards and then break that price downwards under 2072. If it does happen that way, that means you've got bearish news data to push prices down even more. If not, it will take support at either one of these lines here, shoot upwards, and then if it does cross upwards 2175 and above, then you're looking at more bullishness. But at this moment of time, I think it's playing in within this zone, this range at this moment of time. Okay, all right, guys, I think that's basically it for now. So I would like to end the trading session here, this webinar session here, and see you guys next week. So with that, I would like to thank you for your time, and for those of you guys who are in this side of Europe, especially in Greece and in Cyprus, I want to wish you guys Kalo Pascha, which is Happy Easter. So it's the Orthodox Easter period this time of the year in this month. So it's always later than the Catholic one. So wishing everyone a happy Easter and a great weekend as well. So for you guys, have a wonderful weekend, a restful weekend, and see you on Monday for our market outlook, Bretton's market outlook on Monday. Take care, guys, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.